Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 14 of BQChats. Obviously, a really special episode. Today, we're with Brother Nathan Reever, and we're gonna get to know you a little bit better. I'm really excited because I've known you for 7-8 years, and we've never gotten a chance to really sit down and have a conversation, and for me to kind of learn your history with quizzing and beyond quizzing and ministry and in life and everything else. So
it's because I avoid coaches in the hallways at tournaments. No, I'm kidding.
That's fair. But I'm really excited today. So we're here at ABC at your church in St. Louis.
Yes.
We drove down to come and hang out with you.
As I said, I wouldn't have done that. So.
Well, we're going to Raising Cane's after this. So so that was
Am I invited?
That was absolutely.
Ooh, yes,
we're going to go. That's 20% of the reason we drove down.
First time I did Cane's was in Lexington, Kentucky, but that's neither here nor there. Carry on.
So, first of all, we're going to get to know you. We're going to get to know you a little better.
All right.
And first question I have is, what do you want to be when you grow up?
My wife would agree to that. Well, obviously there is a call of God to the ministry of my life, but if I'd have done what I wanted to do, I probably would have headed toward being an attorney.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You would be a great attorney.
It appeals to me, but God had other ideas. So.
Well, what about that job appeals to you?
I just love things cut and dry, the law, following the rules, you say, and then the whole process of putting together a case, defending it, or prosecuting it, whichever the case, and just that process. But
do you think there's some correlation there with quizzing, with contesting and rules and procedure and following? That you enjoy that?
I guess I never put that together, but I could see where that, because there again you're judging and making decisions and
following the rules,
And boy, I was a stickler too.
Oh yeah.
In my day, no. But anyway, I hadn't thought of that, but that could well be just subconsciously there. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad there's some self-discovery in this podcast today. What were you like in high school? Not we all, but most of us in the quizzing community know you as you, and we love your spunk and your what is the word I'm looking for? Your quick wit. Your quick wit. We all love you for your quick wit. Have you always been your quick-witted self?
Well, it may be a surprise to you, but I was rather quiet and shy.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, nobody believes me, but I am actually kind of shy still yet. But in high school, I would have been the guy just sitting in the classroom, not answering questions, minding my own business. I did get into some wayward years. I've grown up in the church, but I had a few years where I take responsibility for my own decisions, but got to running with, quote unquote, the wrong crowd. And that hurt me a little bit academically in terms of just not applying myself. But probably that's the biggest thing. I wasn't involved in clubs or extracurricular things. I just, showed up, got out of there, and, pretty quiet.
When do you think you kind of grew into the man you are today? Has it been a slow, steady line?
Yeah, it has. It has, just the various experiences I've had. And a lot of times, if I'm thrust into something, if you tell me this is your job, then I'll do what I have to do to make that job work. If it involves, speaking up, speaking out, I'll do what I have to do. But my default is probably just to get quiet. In fact, if you see me at a restaurant with, half a dozen people, I'll be the one that's kind of just, still yet today, I'll easily slide back and let the talkers take it, so. But one-on-one, I can talk your leg off. So.
Oh yeah, when we're excited about it, that's what we want today. Okay, so, and then was it after high school that you got into ministry, and it's just been all ministry ever since?
Yes, I went straight to Gateway College of Evangelism from high school, and I felt my call to preach when I was 16 here at one of our local church services. Merle Ewing was preaching as a guest minister. And so I had that call in my life, and then I just, out of high school, went straight to that. I graduated June of 77, went straight to Gateway that fall, did 4 years there, and got my local license in 1980. I still had 1 year to go at Gateway. And then 81 got my, or I guess it was a few years later I got my general license. But yeah, and as soon as I got to Gateway College, Pastor Williford here invited me to be a supervisor called in our Christian school, Accelerated Christian Education, and or ACE if you've heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that 1 year, and the principal at that time moved on, so then I took the principal's position. Did that for 81 to 84, so 3 years.
And that was here, that was at ABC.
All here at this church, yeah.
Gotcha.
A
So
different location, but this church. And then Pastor Williford asked me to be his assistant in 84, and I did that to 93 when I was asked to go to the General Youth Division. I ended up there 6 years. Then, at the end of that, Pastor Williford asked me to come back. So,
and then?
Been here ever since. So,
been here ever since. Wow.
Yeah.
And you were the associate? Is that the official
title? That's my title, yes.
Associate.
I say half a pastor, but, but anyway. Yeah, associate pastor is my title.
Well, this is a beautiful, beautiful church.
Oh, thanks.
There's so many churches in St. Louis. It's like it's really interesting. Is there events that you all do stuff together? Or?
The metro area in our Missouri district is it's more heavily Section 1, and we're Section 2. I think we're just about the northernmost church in the section. So,
gotcha.
But when I was growing up, we were in Section 1 with all the metro churches. They just some years ago split it up a little bit. But yeah, so not really, other than a section event, there's not, we don't do too much. In fact, I say we're on the south side of the metro area. It's like a whole another world. On the north side, I just hardly ever get up there unless it's something special. But even the college now and headquarters and district office, I just, and that's not a bad, I'm not saying it's bad, it's just life goes on. You don't
absolutely
get around like you want to maybe.
And so you've grown up in this church in ABC your whole life. Wow.
Only one I've known.
Only one you've ever known.
My dad came from southern Illinois and my mother from northern Indiana for employment. Met and married, and my mom was already going here, I think, when they got married, and they've been there ever since. So.
Wow. That's awesome. Is it interesting being like on staff in a church you grew up in? So like you're the pastor of probably the people that change your diapers and.
Yep. Yep. That's changing some now that I'm the ripe old age of 60. But is that on there? I'm sorry. We can edit that, right?
Yeah.
But yes, that in my early years, I was in my early 20s when I first came on staff. So very much so.
Yeah, it was.
Yep. This church has got a solid foundation. Brother Williford's only the fourth pastor of our 85 plus year history. This church started in 35 formally. And so we've got a good solid group of people, and they showed respect, but I mean there was, I had to kind of work through that a little bit, but not in a bad way, just probably more in my mind than theirs. But
that's probably fairly common, right? I mean, it's got to be fairly. I mean, our youth pastor now at our church is Bradley Nave, and he was the demon child of the church, when he was younger, and now he's our youth pastor. He's doing an amazing job, but there's always that like the people, and I wasn't there, but I've heard the stories, and the people
there were stories about me as a kid being a little misbehaving. So nonetheless, okay.
It's probably fairly common for pastors and for ministers. All right, another get to know you question.
All right.
If you walked out of here and you found a $10 million lottery ticket, what would you do with it?
Boy, repent? I know this sounds like I'm ingratiating myself, but I do like to think I would give a ton to missions.
Absolutely.
And then clearly pay off all my debts and retire. I think, my service here at the church would then be for free, so if they wanted me around. But just that kind of thing, blessing my kids, setting things up for them. And I love to travel, so I'm sure I'd take a trip or two.
Where would you travel?
Oh, there's all kinds of places. I have a dream vacation of going to Wimbledon in London sometime for the fortnight.
Wow.
I'm more of a mountainous vacationer, so I'd like to see Lake St. Louis up there in the Canadian Rockies. There. That's on my list. And I'd love to kind of do the train tour of Europe sometime on the western side.
Wow, that would be really...
Just a few quick things there. But, I've been fortunate. I've been to all 50 states, so that's
That's really cool.
Yeah.
You may be the first person I've ever met.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Now,
My wife has too.
Is that like going through, or is that like you visited every state?
Yeah, well, you mean staying? Yeah, pretty much. For a while there, I had to say of Nevada, I'd only landed in the Reno airport and left, but I've since been back to Nevada. Almost said Vegas, but I shouldn't say that. No. Been back. So in Rhode Island Vermont was the same, but we vacationed there. So I think I've spent a little time in all the states.
Was a lot of that quizzing, or was it other ministries?
Pretty good deal. In my Gateway College years, 2 summers, I traveled for promotional purposes, and really it kind of did the same thing. So it really was the year of 78. We went clear out to Oregon, so that picked up a bunch of states. I also picked up several, and believe it or not, in 1970, General Conference was in Portland, Oregon. My mother, brother, and I rode out there on the train from here in St. Louis.
Wow.
So I picked up a bunch of states there. But quizzing did definitely help, especially up in the Northeast, and then a little bit, and then as well, not only quizzing, but the General Youth Division, because a lot of times we'd go to different district conferences to represent She's for Christ, and that took me to some places I hadn't been, so.
That's really. What's your favorite state you visited?
Oh boy,
Ooh.
I really like Colorado. I don't know that I'd want to live there, but again, mountains I really enjoy. We've been there a bunch of times over the years.
That is a place that we've talked about.
Yeah,
vacationing.
Yeah,
we had some.
Colorado Springs is what I'm most familiar with, so it's a little south of Denver. But yeah, I really like that. Again, I don't know. This is all I've ever known to live, so it'd be a big leap for me to go somewhere else.
My dream vacation would be a New Zealand, Australia type thing. That would. I don't know why. I just think it's beautiful over there. To go skydiving in New Zealand or something, that would just be. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it would.
But would you go skydiving?
No.
Are you that type? No, you know.
My wife would.
Your wife would.
She's crazy. She's a daredevil.
Can we cut that out?
No. She knows. Oh yeah, she's talked about it, frankly, but I don't think she's gonna pull it off. I don't know, unless she surprises me one day. Yeah.
So what do you like to do to relax? Do you like to read? And if you do, what do you enjoy reading?
Yeah, I mean, I do like to read. Relaxing to me, I mean, we've got a screened-in back porch. I'm happy sitting out there with a cup of coffee and listening to the birds in the morning and just taking it easy. I mean, that I guess that's the strictest sense of relaxing. But I do read, but I'm fine just to kind of let my thoughts wander and take it all in.
Yeah, or catch a Cardinals game. I know you're a big Cardinals fan.
Yes, yeah. Growing up here in St. Louis, yeah. In fact, that is a good point. Afternoon games, I have a little bit of a luxury being able to sometimes sneak away for that. So I've even gone by myself before, kind of weird, but I mean just.
Hey. Nothing wrong with that,
yeah. So, just I'll slip in and.
Baseball can be a relaxing.
It is, of all the sports. I mean, in fact, sometimes people are so relaxed that I get a little upset they're not paying attention to the game. They're talking, but I'm not that guy that goes off on anybody. But yeah, that is a good point, though. I do enjoy the afternoons. Well, I really enjoy going to the zoo, which I was just there today. I've said before, if my grandson and I ever go missing and anyone cares, that'd be a good place to look for us, because we've been going since he was just a little guy.
How old is he?
He's 12 now. 12? Yeah, but I mean, since 2, 3, 4, somewhere in there, we've been taking him. So. And
you said you went to the Science Museum today?
Yeah, we did. We did go there. So I like the zoo much better, but
the zoo here is amazing.
Yeah. And it's free. Have you guys been?
We took our oldest when she was like 1. I mean, she was in a stroller the whole time, but so it's been 5 years since we've been, but I just remember it being incredible, especially for free.
Oh, it's usually rated in the top 10 or so. That's another thing. We've been on a little bit of a mission to visit zoos around the country. Really? We've been to Omaha, D.C., Chicago, Kansas City.
We went to Cincinnati.
Springfield, Illinois. Oh boy.
We went to the Cincinnati Zoo. And
We've been there, yeah. Columbus. In fact, my grandson said today he wants to go back to the Columbus Zoo. He seems to like it better. But,
interesting.
Yeah. So.
What do you like to do at the zoo? Or are there certain animals, certain exhibits that you enjoy the most?
I like the big cats. We were looking at them today. In fact, a lion was roaring today. They don't know why.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. They said they didn't know why?
Nope, we couldn't figure it out. According to my grandson, he only does that in the mornings. So I don't know. he's done overnights there before a couple different times. He's really into it.
Oh, so. he stays in the tiger's cage?
No. Oh my word. Oh, I see. You're being humorous. No.
Monkey cage.
Grandson,
typically. No.
You're saying he's related to me. I get it. Okay. Yeah, what's your favorite animal? You beast.
What's mine?
Yeah.
I do enjoy. I enjoy the monkeys. I love the monkeys.
That seems very appropriate.
Well, they typically give you a good show. Typically, they're not throwing stuff at you. Hopefully not. But the big cats are really cool, and typically like the cute little otters or the those are wonderful.
Yeah. So
some of the bird sanctuaries are really cool. Yeah, I don't know. I need to go back to a zoo. You're inspiring me to hit up a zoo here soon.
The little one, the wife, pack them up. Have the wife prepare a picnic lunch, and off you go.
I've got 2 daughters now, and one of them would definitely climb in some kind of exhibit.
Oh,
she's an animal herself.
Oh,
she's wonderful.
Like her mother.
Aren't they all?
But next time I see her, I'll apologize.
So another thing, this is kind of something that we've shared for a while, and that anytime that we went to a tournament where you were going to be, and we knew we were going to be in your session, we made sure, take note, everyone, that we brought you your favorite order from Starbucks.
Yes, you did.
And so every time we would bring you a tall, flat white. And we won nationals that year that we brought you a tall, flat white.
See how that works?
So,
I always gave Greg
something
Wilson the credit for that. So it was a joint effort. Huh?
It was a joint effort. It was his idea. It was his idea initially, for sure. Yeah, my assistant coach, Greg.
Maybe he's the one that knew I was bribable.
But do you you're a big time coffee man, huh? Are you still a tall, flat white guy?
Yeah, yeah, I do. But I mix it up. In the holiday season, I do the pumpkin spice latte, caramel. We say caramel here in the Midwest, not caramel, but caramel brulee, and and I do the white mocha. So I mix it up. But yeah, nice. But flat white always works if you want to make my day.
Hey, and you will be quiz mastering some tournaments this year. You will.
I've done a few, so here and there, so every time.
Just take note. So if you if you're going to be in Brother Reever's session, tall flat white or white mocha,
any of the above, you'll be sure to win that quiz. Actually, I don't cheat, so
no, he really doesn't. But it was always
anybody's nervous.
It was always very fun to. It was always fun to bring.
I remember this is one thing I remember. Chelsea Miller's would be Travis Miller's daughter. She's now married. Portela. She quizzed in the intermediate one year, and Brother James Beardsley was a judge. And because she was from my church, they were going at a time. I think I was almost too strict on them, and there was one time when. There was like a syllable left at the end of a word, and I called interruption, and it just, really, you tell it threw it off, and I went over to the Beardsley, and I said, you think I was a little too hard on her? And he said, yes, you were. so I think we threw it out. I can't remember. Anyway, I was just real paranoid about, I didn't want to do any favoritism whatsoever. So if anybody's worried, please note that.
I think that's common. You have parents quizmastering kids, like the most obvious case is Brother there with his kids.
Yes.
He's
very conscientious.
Yeah, and it's necessary. And I just just want to make sure that there's not even an opportunity for someone to think that there could be anything.
Yeah,
so I understand.
That's been a great thing about him. He's still that way, of course.
Right, and I know that's gotta be tough. That's got to be tough on if that was my dad, like.
Come on now.
Come on. If that was anybody else, he would give me that. But no, he does an excellent job.
Oh, yeah.
I can imagine anytime. And you did Quizmaster your nephew, right?
Yes, Ashton.
Yeah. I remember that. I remember
he used to have a real difficult time extravaganzas and then national tournament. Getting into my session, it was always something wouldn't work out, but he finally did. I think the last year he quizzed or something. I think he finally got in. I know at the extravaganza finally, but maybe even nationals. But
I remember seeing the name Reever when the quizzes, and I was just like, "Is that?" And then I've come to find out this whole crazy connection that your brother is married to Sister Jean's sister.
Yep.
Sister Cheryl Jean's sister.
Yep.
So that absolutely blew my mind, because Sister Cheryl Jean is in Salem, Illinois, has just been a pillar for me in my quizzing growth. And then you obviously were our national quiz coordinator and our interview quizmaster for 3 years. And then I come to find out that your siblings are married completely.
Small world.
It is, and they live in Maryland, right?
Yes, he pastors in Baltimore.
Gotcha. Interesting. You ever go out there? You like Baltimore?
I do. In fact, I just went mid-October out there for the weekends. So,
nice.
Yeah, I went on.
Nice.
Probably not as much as he wants me to, but...
All right. So there is one thing that you have that not many people can say that they have, and you have your own Instagram fan club.
Oh. Yes, I do.
So, what was your thought when you realized that this community existed out there, thriving?
It caught me off guard, and really, it's from my local church here, so I'm not 100% sure what caused it all, but I think I tend to give our young people a little bit of a hard time, so I think this was revenge. So if you'll take time to look, you'll notice not very many of the videos and pictures are flattering. So I believe they're making fun of me.
I loved your flag routine recently on there. It's you did it.
That was supposed to be. My youth pastor had that originally. So
forget attorney. I think that was your. Maybe that was the call. I think that might have been your call.
Okay. But yeah, it's such as it is. It's out there, but I keep thinking it will fizzle, but they keep.
Well, I mean, you got a lot of fans.
Yeah.
If you don't know, if you haven't seen it, go check it out and subscribe, and let's keep that community growing. So, holidays right around the corner. It's today is I'm not sure what the date is. It's mid-November, 16th of November. So coming up on Thanksgiving and then Christmas, and it just seems like this time of year just flies by because of the holidays and the special times. But do you have any special holiday traditions that you cherish, or anything that you're looking forward to?
Growing up, it was Thanksgiving was always going to my Aunt Marie's, my dad's side, but that's long since changed. So it's, typical just family and that anymore. We just kind of show up where we can and it moves around. So I don't know that there's any, I'm sure as a kid on Christmas morning, my brother and I opened our gifts then, typically, which was always exciting. But we did start, it's not a long-standing tradition, but was it last year, I think, or 2 years ago, the kids spent the night at our house, grandkids and my daughters, and I told my wife I kind of like that, so I don't know if that's going to continue, but that would be fine if it did, but assuming we all stay in the same area. But
I have memories of all my cousins all in my grandparents' house for Christmas.
Just piling up.
It's just it's great. My grandmother lived in Mississippi on the coast, so it was really cool to go over there and see the beach and see everything and get to see all my cousins and the presents.
You grew up in Louisiana?
I did. I grew up in Louisiana. My mother's from Mississippi. My father's from a little bitty town in Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
And my dad worked with my mom's sister and saw a picture on her desk and said, She's cute.
Oh, and the rest is history.
And then here we are. I'm right here.
Yeah. What got you to Illinois? Work, I guess.
Yeah, work. I came up to Illinois for a job, and I've since left that job and a different job. So it's interesting how my career path has gone. But yeah, we're in Bloomington, and I've been there for 7.5 years. 7.5 years now. Grew up in Alexandria, Louisiana, for 21 years. Yep. And then graduated college, and out of college I had a job. And I graduated college. We had a week off. I married my wife a week after I graduated. In Louisiana.
Oh.
And then we had a honeymoon for like 5 days. And we got back. We packed up to move. It was in 3 weeks from I graduated. I got married, honeymoon, moved. It was just like
there a stress level chart that off the deep end.
It was the craziest time of my life.
So you're both from Louisiana? I didn't realize.
My wife is from Texas.
Oh.
So my wife is from East Texas, and met at college.
College?
Yeah.
Which what? Louisiana?
At Northwestern State University.
In Louisiana?
In Louisiana.
Okay. There is a Northwestern in Chicago.
There is, which I usually just say I'm from Northwestern. People assume that. Which that is a much more prestigious school than the one that I graduated from. But it was I went for music stuff. I was a drummer, drumline in a band, a marching band, and it was my life in high school. I loved drumline and music and jazz band and everything else, and so that's the reason I picked the school I did. And I've been thinking, like I always think back to those little decisions you make in life that you don't realize will completely change your life. Because if I went there to be in the band, and I was in the band for 2 years, and then I quit being in the band. And if I hadn't gone to that school, if I had gone to a different school, I wouldn't have met my wife, I wouldn't have my job, I wouldn't live in Illinois, I would never met all the people that I met here. It's just crazy that one decision of where I went to school completely. It's really interesting. So I'm thankful.
Yeah.
God's way.
You grew up in church too, or no?
I did. Yes.
Okay.
My parents got into church like 2.5 years before I was born.
Okay.
They grew up in church.
You went to the church in Alexandria?
I did go to the Pentecostals of Alexandria for 21 years. I know you know the Elliots.
Yes.
So interesting. My parents owned. We had a separate garage and house, and there's a little apartment above that garage. And Nisha Elliott, when I was 3 years old, lived in that apartment.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she lived there until she married Bill. Okay. And then
wow.
And
I had no clue on that.
yeah, so like I've known Nisha. I can't say I've known Nisha. I mean, Nisha's known me since I was 3 or 4 years old.
I never picked up on that all of our tournaments and stuff.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, you're from different districts.
Yeah, we don't like the Louisiana people. We just don't talk to them. Just kidding. We love
edit that part out.
No, we love them down there. We got to go down for the Bayou Blessed, which is the big May tournament down there. The Tioga campgrounds. You ever been there?
When they used to have it in July, way back when I did.
Yep, that was a lot of fun.
Brother Roger Creel was the coordinator then in those days. But when they changed the national tournament to the Youth Congress time frame, it really changed a lot of annual tournaments, the time frames of them. But I'm glad that it sounds like what they've done is pick that up in May now. So.
Yeah, I think they've tried to bring that back for sure. It's a tough time of year with school finals and a lot of just craziness that time. But it's a fantastic tournament. And last year, I think every single BQE winner in the experience division, and almost all of them in the intermediate division, and almost all of the second place winners. I mean, it was an incredibly competitive tournament down there. And they did all in a day. We had like 30 teams in a day, one day. So we had like 4 sessions in the experience division. I mean, it was crazy. But I was really happy because I grew up 15 minutes from those campgrounds. And so to get to bring my quizzers down there and eat crawfish, and they had, play basketball and stay up late hanging out with the quiz community. It was a blast. We talked a lot about that trip on the podcast. It's definitely the most fun tournament we've been to.
Even for me as an official, it was a blast. So yeah, I knew it was.
You mentioned Brother Creel, which is like, I know this is kind of a tangent here, but I just got to, he was, when I was a quizzer, which I only quizzed for a couple of years and I wasn't very good. He was the coordinator down in Louisiana, and I had heard like legends of his daughter, Lindsay, being an incredible quizzer. And then I had heard just more as I've been in quizzing and coaching and everything about how fantastic she was, and then her husband. And then he was an incredible quizzer, and they got married, and they had kids. And Brother Mark Shukri is our coordinator at our church, and he was telling me years ago, I was like, can you imagine what those kids are going to be like when they're quizzers? And funny story, Brother Greg Albritton and I were talking after Youth Congress one night this year, and he and I and a couple other people were having a conversation, and he kind of splits off like Brother Greg Albritton does and starts talking to somebody else behind us, and we're having a conversation. And I kept hearing him talking about quizzing stuff, but I didn't really pay attention. And then they leave, and he comes back, he's like, you won't believe it. That was Brother Walker and Sister Creel, the two of the best quizzers ever, and blah, 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 blah. And I just like... I wanted to slap him. I'm like, why didn't you introduce me to them? Like, I would love to have to talk to them and to get to know them and potentially have them on the podcast one day. So, I don't know, maybe you got connections.
Sure. Got older cell numbers on my phone.
Oh, there we go.
She just had a birthday. I wished her happy birthday.
Really? Yeah, you seem like you're good with birthdays.
Pretty good. Huh?
You're pretty good with birthdays? Yeah. That's awesome. I need to be better with birthdays.
Yes, your wife's for starters.
December 21st.
Ooh, yeah, good. Well,
yeah,
now I got to remember that.
She's 4 days before Christmas. And
I will admit, Facebook helps out a lot. People
yeah.
post it on there. It's a little bit of a reminder, but of course I don't tell anybody that, so no one heard me say that.
So, sorry, we kind of got off on that.
Yes.
A lot of great
so
changes.
Yes.
We were talking about holidays.
Jonathan and Lindsay are great. Okay, go on.
They are great. But back to holidays. Christmas.
Holidays. I didn't like tradition. I may have not named that fully, but I like opening a gift at a certain. We didn't really have too much of that. Just
last year we cooked. I decided I wanted to cook the big family dinner, Christmas dinner, and I got some. My buddy had some duck, some like wild duck breast, and I think I did all right. I'm pretty good, and so I'd like to try and keep that
going.
Going as big, because
meal,
we don't get to sit down as a whole, especially my sister's in California, so she's in town and her parents and all of us, the kids, actually sit down at the same time and quiet and eat a really nice home cooked meal. I mean, that's tough. It's tough nowadays. So I like for us to try and keep that up.
Good.
And then, so with Christmas, do you have anything specific on your Christmas list this year you're looking forward to?
Oh, I can't say I'm hard to buy for. I am looking for a Ray Dunn coffee cup in black that says coffee, but kids are listening. What else? I told my wife something the other day, but I guess short answer no, but they always accuse me if I want something, I go it and ruin things for them, but so I guess nothing much. What am I supposed to say? Just my family around me. Traditional answer, yes.
Well, that works. You are a coffee cup guy, so if people want to send you a gift, just
there you go.
Send you a cup.
My wife might freak out trying to find a place to put them, but.
All right, so another interesting thing about you that not a lot of people can say. Some people have bridges named after them, and some people have buildings and named after them, or halls, but you have a national championship trophy. And I know you're going to be modest about it, but we were super honored to find out that we were receiving the first Nathan Reever National Championship Trophy, because I mean we love you, we love to quiz with you, and that was just so. Our last year in intermediate was your last year as a coordinator, and then the trophy was named. So we got you to sign it, and then
it wasn't even engraved.
It wasn't even engraved.
I signed it. I do remember that.
So what was that like? Was that a surprise when you found that?
Yes, I mean, it was quite an honor, but in the 2016 year, we knew 2017 was our 50th anniversary, so we did a lot of brainstorming with Fulber and I think Ron O'Neill. just trying to think of little different things that we could do to make it a special year. And one of them was to name trophies. I mean, it might be the best analogy, but like in football, you got the Lombardi, and so we were trying to honor people. And Marvin Walker was the clear-cut favorite for the experience. And then the intermediate, I mean, at the risk of trying to seem modest, I advocated for James Beardsley just because he had run a pilot program for the intermediate in his district and was, very instrumental with it and helping that age group, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought we were kind of heading that way. And then I think in one meeting, Brother Colbert and Ryan Neal kind of surprised me by putting my name in the mix, and I just kind of backed off. And so, anyway, next thing I knew, I ended up doing that. But so yeah, it was a surprise and a great honor. I'm thankful. So.
Well deserved. And I'm glad that I'm glad. It's really cool. I think that was an awesome idea. I don't know. It just seems like it's really interesting with the coaches
I hope it takes off. I know we've got the Pasley coach and the Beardsley coach. So, I mean, it might sound a little formal, but I think it'd be cool that, I won the Walker, I won the Pasley.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
If it catches on. Of course, 20 years from now, they might be scratching their heads and wondering who these guys are. But I didn't know Vince Lombardi, so I guess it's an honor to win that. So anyway, it might work.
Well, the Reever is catchy. The Reever is catchy. I like it, and we were honored to get the first one. I mean, really, kids were just like, even as awesome as it was to win nationals, it was a blessing, and it was glory to God. It made it even more sweeter.
Oh, yeah.
So that it was the Reever, the first one. It was really cool. So, one of my quizzers, Avery, grew up.
Fine young man, my dad.
Fine young man. He grew up in your church when he was younger for a little while. So he's known you forever, and so we that was kind of how we built a relationship early when we were in the intermediate division, and so it was really cool for all that to happen. So that was a kind of a decent segue into quizzing. So got to get to know you personally a bit better, but I'd love to talk more about your quizzing story and about quizzing and what's been in your life. So tell us your quizzing story.
Well, of course, quizzing started in '67, and with the world headquarters being in St. Louis, we were kind of in the middle of all that. Our church here, outside Pentecostal Church, had its first team in '70 and won nationals, and then won it again in '71. I'd have to do the math, but it was either '72 or '73 that I first started trying out for quizzing. But in those years, you could only have one team per church, so 5 quizzers at most made it. And we'd have plenty going out, so at some point our coaches had to, make the cut out of the, let's say, a dozen trying out. You were the 5 that made it. And so I never did make the cut all those years, 72, 3, 4, 5. Finally, in '76, I made team. It was the year we studied Matthew, the whole book I did. None of this selected stuff. But,
that was the start versus days, right?
I don't even think we had that.
Really?
We, in fairness, we did not memorize the whole book. In fact, that year, '76, that's when Brother Walker and his team in Ohio kind of started the whole tradition of memorizing the entire material, because they won that year. But I remember Marsh Cobb at Nationals, because we did make it to Nationals. So I did quiz that year, and then the next year was on Proverbs 77. I quiz, which those are my only 2 years of eligibility. All those years prior, I'd go out for quizzing, so I'd study books up to a point, but didn't make cut.
So were the questions much more broad then?
I think so. Yes, it's become a lot more into now. We didn't have charting; was unheard of. Right. For example, in '76 studying Matthew, we didn't even there were quotation questions, but we just, that's a familiar verse. I know it from going up in church. I better memorize that. It was just kind of a hit and miss. You didn't know really what was going to be asked. And that's when, like I say, the Ohio team really put it in style, so to speak, to memorize everything. But we just kind of picked and choose what was portable.
You just tried to kind of understand the material.
Yes.
And
you'd read through the chapter and get a general idea. But I would say they're much more broad, generalized questions, and probably have some. I think Ryan will put that 50th anniversary exhibit together.
Yeah,
he had some old questions, but
that was really cool.
But yeah, it's a much more exact science today. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So then
I graduated high school, no longer eligible. In the 80s, when I got through Gateway and was in the ministry, I did serve in the Missouri District Youth Department. As a part of that, I often helped Lonnie Brown, our coordinator by that time. When I was quizzing, he was the rival coach around across town in Bridgeton, Missouri. But I say rival, good rival. But so I'd help him a lot with finals and that when it came around. So
I've heard a lot of awesome things about Brother Lonnie.
Oh yeah, first class in every way. Good guy. So he was coach, and then he became our district coordinator, and then of course started working closely with Brother Walker, North American tournaments and that, and everything. So I did that through the 80s. Not every year, but just kind of hit this as I was involved in the youth department there. Excuse me. And then in the 90s, in 93, I got invited to go to the General Youth Division Director Promotion. Brother Dale Johnson was president, and Brother Walker was the national quizmaster, and Brother Johns just thought it made sense with my background to be the one. In those days, we had a youth division official kind of oversaw all the logistical things, and then Brother Walker wrote the questions and took care of tournaments. So that teamed us up together, and I worked with him, and he put me on, when we went on the extravaganzas, he put me in the intermediate side to quizmaster. So all those years we were traveling together, that's another reason I was had an affinity for the intermediate, but I did that while he did that, and then I think all those, every year but 99, I became youth president. In 98, I kept my work with the quizzing. With 99, I had to get up. I didn't have much choice. It just was
much.
But then, so 99, 2000, and then I followed Brother Walker in 01. So I had a couple of years there where I was not involved directly. But then in 01,
But then you got the same job back again.
I followed Brother Walker. Yeah, had his job. Did that for 17 years.
Wow. So you started in intermediate because Brother Walker thought it was good for him to kind of be the experienced guy, you be the intermediate guy, and you just kind of liked that age range and that level. Like what because you stuck with it the whole way, right?
Right. Yeah. When they chose to, used to have nationals at General Conference, and then the intermediate we were doing early August, so I could do both. And they put them together.
I didn't know that they had them separate.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
All my years of quizzing involvement, the national finals were right before General Conference started. Wherever. I mean, 76 nationals were in Anaheim, California.
Wow.
I went there. So, I mean, they just moved wherever the conference did. So when they made that decision in 02, 03, somewhere in there, I, physically couldn't do both. And so they gave me my choice, and I chose intermediate. Yeah, largely because I do enjoy that age range. But then, again, if I run the risk trying to sound more modest here, I am, in my mind, I'm not the quote-unquote quiz guru. I mean, I can't tell you, who answered the 17th question in the 10th quiz of 1994. I'm not that. And so I realized that in this case, I knew it'd be Brother Fulbear. He would be much better suited for the experienced division with his knowledge and background and all that, question writing skills. So I just felt it for the good of the program. It was my comfort level, but it was also, I could see it was for the good of the program for me to stay there and him to take that. So we made a great team. And so I still was responsible for the overall tournament and, making sure he had all the personnel in place, etc. But from over the years, he just ran the experience of, yeah.
So when did that switch happen? So Brother Walker stepped down and you took the national coordinator?
I think it was 04. I remember being in Salt Lake City for the North American tournament, seniors experience. So it must have been 05 was the first year we had him. We brought them all to youth congress. Congresses are on the odd years, so I think that's correct.
Okay.
Sure. 05.
And so, when did Brother Faubert take over as the experienced quizmaster? It's 2005.
Yep,
okay.
Yep.
And so from 05,
it's either that or 07. I'm almost sure it was 05.
So 05 to 17, it was two of you.
Yeah,
working together.
we worked all those years together.
Wow. Okay.
So
that's really interesting. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And so in 04, Brother Faubert was just right. Was he?
Yes, he was. He helped write questions the last 04, 03, somewhere in there. He got on board, and we did. When I first took it from Brother Walker, we had a team of writers, but Creel was largely instrumental. I forget all. There was 4 or 5 of us, and of course we knew that wasn't ideal, but it was for everyone's time, etc. to see the work. But ultimately, though, it kind of narrowed down back to the way I think it should have been all along, and that was Brother Faubert wrote them, and then Brother Clay Strong for a bunch of years he wrote the intermediate for us. So
right, yeah, we quizzed. Our last year was his was last year that he had written the intermediate questions.
That's correct. Yeah, because Brother Fulber's doing them both now. So yeah.
Yes, which has been an interesting adjustment. I think it's good that it's one jump instead of 2, because you jumped from before you jumped from juniors to Brother Strong's questions, and then you jumped again from Brother Strong's to Brother Bear's questions. Where now it's one jump. So
correct. Yeah, I can see that.
I can definitely see it. And so far, I think there was definitely an adjustment year for our intermediates. That first year was definitely an adjustment, but it seems like the intermediate division is getting back. That adjust period seems to be waning.
Yeah, good.
So, as a coordinator for many, many, many years, are there any responsibilities of the coordinator that maybe people wouldn't think of, or some interesting, were some parts of the job that maybe were more fun, or that you didn't enjoy as much that you delegated?
Yeah. Well, I mean, on the fun part, I said earlier I like to travel, so I mean, I really enjoy going to different places for extravaganzas and that. But I guess I don't know how much of a surprise it would be, but probably something that no one thinks much about is all the logistics.
Right.
I mean, typically, a team, they'll just show up to a tournament and, hey, let's quiz, but I mean, there's a lot that goes into that.
Right.
Finding the location, getting your personnel, and of course, for the national tournament, you had to work with hotels and get all the room lists and things like that. So that might, if somebody really sat down and thought about it, might not be a surprise, but it's probably something the average person doesn't give much thought to. I know Pastor Wilbur here, he'll say before he got involved in district youth work, he used to think as a young person, he just put all that stuff just happened. Then he got involved and realized, wait a minute, so I got to make that happen. So,
right.
So I guess kind of the same idea with quizzing. You just, you have to do a lot of coordinating and phone calls and back and forth and getting everything lined up.
Right. I can't imagine just like with as large as our nationals have grown, it's just, I can't imagine because just like coordinating our own team, just like one church, just to get them to nationals, just everything that entails. I can imagine the logistics, and it seems like
you got to have your PA system in place. Something as simple as a keyboard for your devotions. I mean, just
right.
Because we did checklists, and that made it easier. But still,
right.
I guess that'd be as far as I don't know anything really surprised, but
I've always been impressed with Brother Morgan, Brother Carl Morgan, extravaganzas and nationals. He's just always moving, always making everything's in place, and everybody's got everything they need, and it's a lot of work. And I've seen that we have some amazing people that involve amazing teams that make it happen the right way. So I think you're probably a lot to. We'll probably owe a lot of things to you for setting that up the way it is, as smooth as it is now. So I'm pretty sure you probably had a lot to do with that. So.
Yeah, well, I do like details and kind of try to pay attention to them, so hopefully did a little bit of that.
Well, I think you left it in a good spot. It was you left at the top. I mean, you retired. You like won MVP and then retired like from the league. That's
I will say, I mean, was it record attendance last year?
Yeah.
I mean, that thrilled me to hear. I mean, that's what every leaguer wants, to see things get bigger and better. So,
well, I mean, it was pretty solid growth through your whole tenure.
Yeah,
right?
Incremental, I call
Right.
it. Nothing just mushroom growth. But yeah, to know we set a record last year, that just thrills you to no end. That's what it wants.
Record at NYC too. I mean, it just seems like we're.
Yeah, my first NYC was '95, and we were happy we had 5,000 a night, and we were happy with that. So that shows you. I don't know how many years that is, but you can figure it out. It's amazing what's happened.
Where was that at?
That was in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Little Rock, Arkansas.
I don't know that we ever go back there, just sheer size now.
For NYC, I don't think.
I
don't think I would work.
That was I was director of promotions. That was the first one that I did. Now I got myself under '93. Maybe that was in Indianapolis. Oops.
It's all right.
No. I came in '94, so that was right. So
Okay.
Little Rock was my first one.
There you go.
So, yeah.
So speaking of you stepping down, was it kind of like a slow, like you knew it was coming down, or you just saw it and then you finally got there and you knew it was time, or?
I'm no flash of light. I'd say maybe a year out, I started talking to my wife about it. It was. I mean, I still love the ministry, as evidenced by I keep going up. But I just my age and 17 years, the travel, and again, just thinking of the program. I knew Brother Fulbear's there, and able to just really, as far as I'm concerned, there wasn't much of a transition as we had worked together all those years. And just had to find somebody to replace me in the intermediate, but it just flowed right ahead. So I don't know, just kind of happened. Nothing. Didn't like wake up one morning and say we're done with this, but I could just kind of feel as a year or so out, just was getting close. And I do admit, the 50th anniversary seemed like a good time, and I always teased and said I wouldn't be a 20-year man like Brother Water, so I almost made it. So I guess that too maybe was in the back of my mind. I had to keep my word. Maybe 17, but nonetheless.
Oh goodness. Well, now that I'm so glad you're still involved, and we still get to see you a couple times a year, quiz mastering, and we always love being in your session. I don't know what it was, but you just had you had an ability to just kind of keep the quizzes relaxed, and just your quick wit, and you were so relaxed, and you never. I mean, even talking to you, it doesn't seem like you ever get stressed. You never seem stressed. You just seem relaxed and having fun, and that really helped the quizzer stay relaxed and having fun, and we appreciated that.
Well, I did sort of take a little bit of pride in that. I had more than one coach and parent tell me over the years, they'd call me to the side and just thank me, because especially, you're 12 years old, 13 years old,
right,
sitting in front of bright lights, so to speak. And in all candor, sometimes they'd sit there and my humor went, right over there. They just look at me like, where's this coming from? But anyway, I definitely enjoyed that. And yeah, I guess, I don't know that I just consciously thought I'm going to relax everybody, but maybe I don't take myself too seriously, and that kind of all flowed out. I don't know, but anyway.
You always commented on the boys versus girls.
Yeah,
that was always great. You always kind of broke the ice.
Yeah, and I know that wasn't for everybody. In fact, probably for example, that might be another reason I kept intermediate. I knew in the experience division that's the last thing experienced pitchers want to hear, or they don't really want the levity from my viewpoint. They just want to let's quiz and get after it. So that might be the reason I kept intermediate. But yeah, I try to play off on that stuff. As I said, sometimes it worked with those kids, sometimes it didn't, but as far as their understanding. But yeah, I had a good time with it, and I enjoyed it.
What are some of your more fond memories, some things that you cherish looking back over your tenure?
Well, definitely the camaraderie that I formed with quiz coordinators, that I'd meet regional tournaments, extravaganzas, and just traveling with Brother Walker all those years. We've got a lot of fond memories there that we can reminisce when we get together, and so that kind of thing. I think I'd say that's what I missed most, and again, probably why I keep showing up. Just seeing the people I've known, and I realize there's coming a day when the quizzers are going to be probably already the 12-year-olds doing that, scratching their head, so who's the old guy? But just show up and seeing the kids, and it's very rewarding to see kids grow up. And you mentioned Lindsay Walker. I think her last year was 03, 04, somewhere in there, and just seeing how her life's unfolding, God using her and family. Just pretty rewarding to see all that. So, lots of stories. I don't know any one thing just jumps out. Travel stories and tournaments and things. So just all that.
What do you hope to see from the quizzing ministry as it keeps going? I mean, what do you think's going to happen? Do you think we're just going to keep growing? And
that's obviously what you want. Which, of course, logistically at the national tournament, particularly, that's going to get a little interesting because we've pretty much just kept it 2 sessions per division, so I don't know if there ever come a day when we do 4, but
we're at the tipping point.
Yeah,
I mean,
meeting room space is always the kicker, So.
Right. Well, next year we'll be back in St. Louis. I believe at the same place as what.
Yes, St. Charles.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. So I think we had some room to grow a little bit, there. Mm-hmm. But talking to Brother Forbear, it seems like the breaking point is questions. Like there's just not enough material and enough good questions. You just can't write enough questions for that many quizzes in those sessions. So it just makes sense that we may have to go to another 3rd session, which would be, interesting. It'd definitely be interesting. But then I can't imagine you got to get a whole another. You got to get a quiz master. You got to get a set of judges. You got to get another room. It's all.
There's some challenges. I mean, good ones, but the challenges nonetheless to figure all out. So I just just on the numbers side, love to see more and more kids involved. I guess I don't. Well, it's not pessimistic, but more realistic. I know that this ministry is not for every UPCI kid. I can use my 2 daughters as an example. One took to it and one didn't. I mean, so I know it's not for every kid, and we're never going to get 100% participation from our youth. But there's always that little boost you can get, and people discover it and fall in love with it and all that kind of thing.
Right.
So hopefully that'll happen more. Greater percentage.
There always are those kids that just don't. They don't have that knack for it. Whatever some kids have it, and some kids just don't. But it's always. I just always have to hold that, hey, just because of quizzing, these kids are learning versus they're doing something that they wouldn't be doing without it. That they wouldn't be doing. And maybe they're not the best quizzer. Maybe they're not going to win a ribbon or win a quiz or memorize all the material. But, they're dedicating time in the Word of God and hopefully creating good habits in their life and learning life lessons. And there's always so many great things that you can learn through quizzing as a kid, especially kids that didn't play team sports growing up.
Right.
Like there's a lot of great lessons that are necessary. So we have a lot of young new kids in our church that are quizzing now that I'm really excited to see, try and help mold them and help them learn those lessons and keep perspective. That's what we've been talking about a lot. Keeping perspective lately.
I agree with all that. Yeah,
and just keep the main thing the main thing. As my dad would say.
Get that from TF Tenney, Louisiana?
Probably so. Probably so.
I heard him say that.
I think that's probably where he got. So, Brother Reever, really thank you for your time. Is there anything you want to share or encourage to the quiz community or to your fan club?
Yes, stop it. No, just what I've always said to the quizzers. I mean, I think the world of them. They're first-class individuals, and let the ministry continue to change your life and then do something with it down the road, obviously. So,
well, I really thank you for your time and for taking time to be here, and look forward to dinner tonight.
Yes.
Go to Raising Cane's.
Raising Cane, I can do that.
All right.
Yes.
Well, thanks everybody, and maybe we'll get to talk to you again another time.
Yeah, that's right. There's a hue and cry. We'll come back for part 2.
Yeah,
the sequel.
The sequel.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you guys.
God bless. Be off the air.